Hey everyone, sorry about that. Trying to get everything up and running and in place right now, and now my microphone is a little loose. Let's see what's going on. Oh, okay, there we are. Hopefully, you guys can hear me. You can see me well. I'm coming through crystal clear. So, welcome to another Sunday edition of Sunday Sit Down with yours truly, Nicole LaTreece, where I come to you each and every Sunday to try to spark off and kick off this communication thing. So we can just try to make life a little bit better than what it is right now to make situations go a little bit easier. Because I don't know if you guys know it, but we're all actually going through the same thing at the same time. We don't do enough talking about it to actually know. Oops, sorry. I am a one-woman show, so I am literally doing everything. But yeah, I mean, this thing that we're going through called life, we're actually not doing it any differently than sitting maybe, if you're watching this with someone, the person is literally sitting right next to you, maybe the person that you're going to send this to make sure that hey, you're not alone. You're not going through this stuff by yourself. You're you have people who are here with you, people who are going to support you, people who are in this thing to make it easier. Like communication is the one that things. If you're not communicating, then you can't effectively know one else. All this, like I said, going on. And now it's saying that my microphone is acting up. But hey, we're going to keep this show going. We're going to keep things rolling. If you are joining me tonight, like I said, this is about communication. This is about connection. This is about intentional engagement. So if you are here with me tonight, watching this live, if you're joining me in tonight's conversation, just let me know that you're here. Let me know that I am not alone, like I said in the beginning when I first signed on. Communication is the main thing that we all could do better at, that we all could be more intentional about. Okay, I don't feel like I need the light. Just give me the light. I'm sorry. But yeah, communication is the one thing for all of us that we just have to practice and get more intentional about being better at. And that's why me tonight, then feel free to, just let me know, hey, I'm here, I'm rocking with you, and yeah, let's do this thing. Let's go ahead and kick this thing right off. So, tonight's episode, we are talking about communication skills for healthy relationships of all, I should have put that in caps, capital all kinds. For a lot of us, I am 40. We just go ahead and throw it. I looked 27 earlier today, so I'll gladly take that. But I have lived, quite a bit of life. I have had my own share of experiences and situations and just, opportunities where communication has been the thing to either make or break whatever it was that I was going through in that situation or that experience with someone. So, like tonight, I'm going to explore of in nurturing healthy relationships across all spheres of life between your mama and them, your aunties, your cousins, your sister, your brother, your nieces, your nephews, your significant other, your side piece. Because I don't condone it, but I just got to talk from, the spaces where the world are so I can try to meet people where they are. Um, in your career, in your parental space of talking to your kids. When I say all, I do mean all because if you can get in the intentional space of mastering how to communicate, not just talk, but mastering how to communicate and express that which is on your mind, in your heart, and on your spirit as well, then you're doing yourself and the world, in my opinion, more of a service because you're working to change starting in the space of where you are. You don't have to come at communication from the standpoint of feeling like me, like, man, I gotta change the world. Like I'm on my big girl stuff. So anything I do, I feel like it starts and stops with me, and just like a pebble in the ocean, it radiates out to somewhere. And I want what I'm doing, what I'm talking about, what my messages all into the world. And how do we do that? We do that through communication, as a means to nurture healthy relationships in all walks of life, whether it's with partners, friends, family, or colleagues. Mastering the art of communication is key to building strong, enduring relationships. So let's dive into some essential communication techniques that enhance clarity, clarity, clarity. If we can get clear on the multifaceted elements of communication, the world would be a better place. Like, we still ain't gonna get along. I don't feel like we still will ever all agree, but I think clarity in your interpersonal relationships, when I say interpersonal, I really mean the ones that are like closest to you, because if you're practicing them with your friends, your family, your colleagues, your partner, the more you engage and those people engage with you, then you will tend to take that out into the world as well. So, yeah, let's dive into some essential communication techniques that enhance clarity, empathy, and understanding. So, clarity, let's get a clear picture of what you meant, what was said, the intention behind where it's going. Empathy, like I said, I don't think that we'll ever get to a point to where we all 100% agree on everything, but I feel like if we can get to a point, sorry, there's a gnat in front of my face. If we can get to a point to where we have a little bit more empathy, some people will call it grace, for acknowledging the person that's in front of you, even though you don't agree with them, even though you don't agree with their lifestyle choices and things like that. You can have a little bit more empathy for where somebody's coming from, then that'll help. And then walking forward, what is the purpose of this moment of communication? What is the point of what it is that we're engaging in communicating with one another? I would challenge everyone under the sound of my voice. Don't just engage in communication for the sake of communicating. Make it mean something. Make it clear, be empathetic, and be understanding of the person that you're interacting with. So, one of the like main mindsets that I mm, talk from myself, and then the people that I engage with from, is effective communication. Like I said, what is the purpose? And it's funny that this is what I'm talking about because, yeah, I have a engagement and encounter on the horizon where I am going to have to do the very things that I am talking about right now as a means to promote effective communication. Um, Nowadays, I have seen that more people talk. So it's like you're talking, and I have a 10-year-old. So, like, sometimes she's talking just to talk. And it's not because she likes to hear the sound of her voice. I can guarantee you that. But it's a difference for me, excuse me, between talking and communication. There is a cohesion piece that I feel is missing when people engage in the act of just talking. Like, you can say something to get a situation over with. You can talk just to respond, not really take in, what the person has sent you in a text message or whatever the case may be. You can talk to engage in the moment of like person to person, you know, um, word exchanges. I can't even say communication because somebody may not fully be listening. Somebody may not be fully talking about what it is that they need to say, also as a means to not hurt someone's feelings or to not rock the boat, as us older people used to hear sayings about that, like, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. But why not communicate before it gets broke? What if communication is the one thing that keeps whatever that thing is from getting broken? Communication, like I said, it can make or it can break how a situation unfolds, how it develops, and where it is that it goes. So communication in itself, not talking, communication is foundational for healthy relationships. The impact that poor communication has in relationships, like nowadays, it's very significant. I, in the past, less than probably a year now, have had experiences where I have tried my best above and beyond to engage in um, effective communication with certain people. And like I said, it's been a handful of cases that I can point out. I'm intentional about doing it with everybody, but I just have some significant ones that are, currently sticking out in my mind as I'm talking to you guys about this. But a person such as myself, I am interested in communicating. If I am not being given the same thing in return, um, even in the instance where I may say something that someone doesn't understand or they don't agree with, or, they feel like I was out of pocket, whatever the case may be, I'm doing it as a means to communicate. And if you do not like my communication, if you do not like my delivery, if you do not like my method engaging with you, then you do have the opportunity to say whatever it is that you need to say. Because for me, that is how I receive communication. Give it to me straight, no chaser. Give me the good, the bad, the ugly, the in between. Like, how you say how you really feel. I call a spade game. Um, but if in how I communicate with you, there are times where I can talk to you the same as though I'm talking to, my audience right now, those of you that are watching and engaging with me in this episode. Um, and then there are times where maybe what you say, it may stir up some emotion, it may stir up some feelings, it may stir up some confusion. I'm sorry, it may stir up some fear. It produce action in me. Now, when I communicate, it's not a instant reaction. It is a buildup that leads to a reaction. I'm very capable of engaging in conversation, even if it's stuff that I don't agree with, stuff that I don't like. I can engage in the conversation, especially if it's in the space of doing so with people that I love, as a means to make sure that we're not practicing poor communication, that we're doing effective communication. But if you get to a point to where it's just like we're not communicating, we're really talking at each other, and we're not getting into a space where we can just take a quick step back, take a pause for the cause, regroup, and then come back to the conversation and actually have a conversation where we're then talking at each other. I can't engage in behavior because even though I may contribute to it getting to that point, that is not my goal. That is not the intention. That does not serve a purpose for me, for us to be in like communication with one another, because it's not going to get us anywhere. Like, you're going to get mad, I'm going to get mad, and then we going to want to stop talking to each other. Now, me, I'm the type of person I may need to take a pause, and I have had the past, like, you just cut it off. Like, you needed your pause, but I still wanted to talk about it. For me, I'm working on understanding how to do that because the way that it looks for me to be able to do that, if someone wants to continue to engage in communication about a specific situation, is I just shut up. Like, I don't have anything to say. And for most people that I've engaged with who wants to still have that conversation, if I'm quiet, me being quiet creates a shift in the dynamic still. It's just like, but you're not saying anything anymore. I know I told you that I would be quiet so you can say what you need to say, but I understand at the same time, communication is a two-way street. At this point, my lane is closed in this analogy and in this situation. Like, there's some construction that needs to happen ahead before I can come back in to the conversation and to be able to express myself effectively. That doesn't mean that I'm not listening. That doesn't mean that I'm not taking to heart what it is that you're saying. That means I'm expressing, or I'm not expressing. I am participating in a growth moment of where I still need to be engaged. All right, you're on the phone. You're telling me how you feel. You're you're telling me I'm still a little bit behind you because I'm trying to get through the construction part to be able to then talk. Give me empathy to understand, hey, this is her growth moment. I may not have anything to say in that moment, but I'll come back and I'll address what it is that you have to say. When it comes to effective communication, we cannot, and I say we because I'm including myself in this as someone who loves to communicate, not talk, to communicate. I can't find it, or I haven't been able to find a way. I don't even know if it's possible, but you really can't push someone to talk, one, when they don't want to talk, two, in the space where they may be processing, because everyone's process looks a little bit differently. Um, and when it's not important to them, because what may be important to you may not be as important. I would hope that it is important to some degree, but may not be as important to the other person that you're engaging in that conversation with. And you got to be okay with that. You kind of have to accept that to a certain point, and you can be mature about it and be like, "Hey, like, does this not matter to you? Like, is what I'm saying not that important?" Because that's a legitimate question that you may need to be aware of. That may be a barrier that's hindering you from being able to effectively communicate with someone. But if you find it difficult to be able to engage in conversation with people, try listening. Like, if what you're saying is not, one, coming out how you need it to be, or what you're seeing more of a, paradigm shift, not in a good way, in the moment when you need to communicate, it's just, "Okay, well, tell me from your standpoint, how do you understand what it is that I'm saying?" And if you're going to ask those questions, or if you're going to try to change the dynamic of what it is that you guys are talking about at that moment, and you want to shift into listening, make sure that it's done in an active lip posture, because there's active listening and there's passive listening. Like, I'm a Jill of many trades. I have like many things that I engage in behind the scenes. Some of the things are on me, and some of the things, like, I am a I won't say it like that because I don't want Facebook to ban me. But I am a pharmacy technician as well, to all the other things that I do. And it was very funny because there was a gentleman that came in to pick up a prescription with his wife. And got on the topic of communicating, and his comment was, there's never a silver lining with women when it comes to communication. Now, my pharmacy squad, even particularly for that night, was mostly women, and the pharmacy's not that big, so certain conversations, like, they can travel and stuff like that. And so his wife was like, "Oh," she's like looking at me, and I'm like, just smiling in my, and it's just like, okay, he wants to go, honestly, go there. And I was like, well, men don't listen anyways. And he was like, "No, you guys are the ones that don't listen. We just 9 times out of 10 don't care about what's being said." And I'm like, "Well, dang. That's very messed up that a guy that I don't even know, has come into the space and said that, but it is probably quite a few people have probably at one point or another, and I won't even go to the point to where it is just gender specific. There are things about the genders, male and female, to where it's just like, okay, like women, most men probably feel like, and if this is, something you agree with or don't agree with, hey, let's talk about it in the comments. But most men will say a woman doesn't communicate on what's going on in that moment. So it's like, if something has happened to where a man has hurt a woman's feelings, and I've been guilty of this, it's just like, especially if we've had the time to sit in the space of the affliction, just like, okay, well, the other day, 2 days ago, he hurt my feelings when X, Y, and Z happened. But I haven't said be feel in my feelings, but being in my feelings, there's a whole bunch in my mind that is putting this process somewhere that it doesn't need to be. I'm thinking about the last time he hurt me. I'm thinking about, those times when he wasn't as nice. I'm thinking about how I heard him talk to somebody else. Like I'm adding all these things into the mix because I'm not communicating with this person, with this man that has hurt my feelings. So when I do come to him, it's like out conversation instead of just getting to the meat and potatoes. I feel God has blessed us to be able to see multiple facets of conversations and situations. Now, that's not always the best, but it's one of the skills that we have because it's what we do. Now, as far as for men, it's just like when they hear women communicating to them what's going on, it's never really just solely the problem. It is all of the emotions and all of the additional layers that are on top of what the problem is. Just tell me what the problem is so I know how to fix it. It's not necessarily, in my opinion, always something that needs to be fixed per se. Or if you are a man who is a problem solver and you get stuck on the mindset track of fixing a problem, then it should be how can we communicate better in this? And if that's the case, then it's just like ask the direct question, but give her the space to say all of how she's feeling and then come back to it. Again, practice that active listening. If you cannot, as a man, get to the bottom of what you feel like the problem is with a woman in your life, let her get it out. She's going to respond to you more because you let her express herself. But if you still don't know what the problem is, every situation is different, every relationship is different, but you're going to have to find that way to ask, babe, what's the problem? And it's going to not be a pleasant situation in the beginning. That's just like working out. I know I need to work out. I don't do it. And the reason I don't do it is really because I don't like that first initial phase of trying to get my muscles acclimated to what it feels like when I work out. Like if I and it I don't know, like if there are any, personal trainers that want to hit me up just for some advice and some recommendations to tell me what I can do. When I get on the weights make my muscles hurt way more in the recovery period. I can get on leg curls with 10 pounds, 10 to 12 pounds, and do what, 3 sets of 20. Once I get into that recovery phase a couple days later, then I can't even like sit down right on when I need to use the restroom feeling. It's the same when it comes to communication. Communication needs to be built up, just like lifting weights, just like working out, in order for it to be a practice that is done routinely and effectively. Like, start with your active listening, grow that muscle, put yourself in positions and situations. Get out. Y'all are coming into my real life. Don't judge me. She knows what it is. Like, for real. Um, yeah, start figuring out your communication workout plan. And I swear this is not something that I had in my notes. But what would be an effective communication plan for you? One of the first steps could be active listening. When you want to say something, if that person is not done talking, listening, tell yourself mentally, I'm going to practice active listening. Listen to what that person actually has to say. And then, like, when it comes to give y'all some quick tips for active listening, take away all distractions. If you're going to grow active listening, just like working out, there is a particular mindset, there is a particular environment that you need in order to be able to practice active listening, just like working out. Remove all distractions. Cell phones. When we come together and we're getting ready to talk, hey, no. Mm-mm. If we're in the living room, leave the phone in the bedroom. Put it in a box and put the lid on it. Give yourself that environment that you need in order to be able to practice active listening. If you're engaging in a conversation if you're engaging in a conversation with someone and you need to take a moment to practice active listening, let them get done saying what they're saying. Find a good way to ask them again, because our minds, our brains, they travel. Like, if you actually set back and looked at the science of how much information is being thrown at us in any given one moment, like, our brain does a miraculous thing. It either absorbs the information, it ignores the information, or it stores it for later. Like, but it's doing all of those things simultaneously. So if you are engaging in a conversation with someone, all of these things are going on. You kind of have to tell yourself, okay, I really need to listen to what this person is saying, especially when it comes to affairs of the heart, matters of the mind, and, a person's dreams, because all that stuff matters and they're expressing it to you because they want to be able to communicate with you. Hey, this feeling. This is how I see things. This is how I felt about how things have been going. Like, take the time to listen because it's important if they're bringing it to you. Um, sorry, one second. Okay, so moving forward in this, journey to effective communication in all your relationships. I said all your relationships. The next thing would be clarity and expression. There are Mhm. There are a lot of situations that I've heard and that I've personally been in myself. It is more so in the relational space where there is a lot of ambiguity that surrounds how, when, and what people communicate. Like, if you tell me something and what you say kind of leads to more questions of the unknown, you're not being clear in your expression. You're not practicing clarity in your expression. You're leaving that like little space to where you're not telling. Song says, tell it like it is. You're not fully telling. You're not fully being forthcoming, and my fists are balled because it irritates me. I am a big girl. I can handle a lot more than what you are giving me in this moment of practicing ambiguity. Tell me what it is that I need to know. If I ask you, because I guess with that, it's like it's two-sided. There is the old statement that says, "Be careful what you ask for." Because in what you ask for, if you're asking for that of someone else, then it is that person's choice. I want us to get to a responsibility instead of a choice, but that's wishful thinking. It is our choice as far as what we choose to divulge. So that's the be careful what you ask for. That is for people like me who are interested in asking those types of questions. Now, the other side to that is ask me no questions, I'll tell you no lies. That's the other group of people who are used to or choosing to practice in the ambiguity in their expressions is just like, well, I don't want to have to lie to her. I don't want the truth to actually blow up my spot. I don't want the truth to be the thing that makes it to where like I am no longer able to talk to this person. And if you are that type of person and you are sit down with yours truly, Nicole LaTreece, where I am talking about communication skills for healthy relationships of all kinds. It is sad. That is, oh man, I can't believe in 2024. And I know it's from programming, I know it's from conditioning, I know it's from previous experiences, but it is very sad if that is something that you are actively practicing the ask me no questions, I'll tell you no lies. You cannot push a person with lack of communication. You cannot push a person that you want to be engaging in. You cannot continue to be in the life of someone that you actually want to be in their lives, but you're still you're you don't know, how you're going to get to that end point that you want to get to. Like if you're not, as my church says, hot, humble, open, and transparent about your communication, it then turns into the responsibility of that person that you are not being forthcoming with the information on what it is that they're going to choose to do with your ambiguity. They owe it to themselves first when you're not in a space to where you are practicing effective communication with them. I get it may be hard. I get it may suck. I get it may not be your intention. But if you practice and get into the space of more active and effective engagement with your communication, it may not work that you're having to start a workout plan with. But the more you do it and the more people that come into your life, and that's who you are, that's how you communicate, that's your law of communication, I promise you, it'll get better. And if you do it, like I said, the purpose of this conversation is to do it in all your relationships. Do it, practice effective communication with your kids. Like my kid, she's nosy. She says curious. Girl, sometimes you just outright nosy. And I get it. You're a kid, mommy's living her own life, but I need you to understand that there are moments and there are opportunities where I'm still practicing effective communication, but I got to meet you where you are. You don't need to know anything or everything, whichever one it is at that moment, about mommy's adult relationship spaces. You don't understand. When people have kids and they start dating someone else, no, until we know on what we are, or if there are specific, circumstances and experiences where the two meet, that ain't normal. That ain't what it's supposed to be. That's not the intention. God has other plans, and He make a way when there is no way. But you don't need to know those things. And I'm saying this as though I'm talking to my daughter because You'll find out whoever is meant for me, and by way of me meant for you too, you will know who and when that person is coming to my life. Until that moment, like, just chill. Just chill. And this mindset also works for the space of people who don't, like, you have other people in your lives that are important. So be mindful of the people that you bring around, the people who are important in your life. But you need to be having those conversations. That's how, people start dating and messing around and, just engaging in experiences that they don't need to because nobody's communicating with them. Hey, I ain't, me, I'm not a messy type person, but that person that you're engaging with, yeah, this was my experience. And I'm not saying just voluntarily, like, try to destroy what someone else is building with someone or in their own lives. But it's just like, if, like, at the airport, if you see something, say something, but you have to have the right people around you. I feel that, that if they're coming to you to communicate about something that they've observed or a firsthand account of knowledge that they have with the other people, the experiences, or the environments that you're interacting with, know who you can trust. But if you can't trust those people, why can't you trust them? It goes back to a certain breakdown in communication, I feel. So yeah, like, maybe. And that's a big thing. Expression can come out in, like, regular everyday life. It doesn't even have to be in the romantic space. It can be friends. It's just like, where she my homegirl, like, she gonna go through this. And I'm always gonna beat her. I ain't gonna judge her, but no, I'm not speaking on that. Why you not speaking on it? But you said that's your friend. You down to pick up the pieces with her or him, but you not down to help them not go through that glass wall. You not down to help them. It's like, that's not true friendship and that's not effective communication. And that's messed up. Like I said in last week's episode, judged by 12, carried by 6. There will be an episode that comes out at some point where I dive deeper into, like, my clarity of expression when it comes to that. Right now, for me, I'm looking for my 6. I am interested in the people that are going to tell me 100% what it is. I'm looking to tell it like it is. There is a shirt that's gonna be coming out really soon with that. Um, but if you get it, like, word as a true expression of your clarity. Hey, if you rocking with me, I'm letting you know I tell it like it is. I call a spade because I want the people that are around me to do the same. Don't do too much talking, do effective communication. Don't beat around the bush. Tell me what it is. If I'm asking you a specific question, tell me like it is. You owe me that because that's what I'm requesting. And if you can't do that, hey, then we're not moving forward any longer because you put yourself out of alignment with me and my life and what it is that I do. So we're gonna keep this thing moving on this journey of establishing effective communication as a means to build them skills for healthy relationships of all kinds. The next thing is empathy and communication. If you cannot take the time to humble yourself to see where that person who is communicating with you is coming from, like, really coming from, you're not being empathetic. You can call it empathy, you can call it grace, you can call it patience. Grace is of God. My patience is on me. But yeah, I'm very empathetic of, I would say, where people are. There are a lot of things that I've been told in my own personal interactions. Being a certified life coach, I have been told things in my coaching space as well. Um, and I look at what the person is telling me, where they are coming from, the experience that they've had that has surrounded the information that is being given to me, and I am genuinely concerned for what it is that they have to say. Like if they're having a bad day, like, man, I don't want you to have a bad day. If we're practicing communication of any sort, I don't want you to have a bad day. I want to know, what's going on with you, even if physically contribute to what is going to change that bad day around for you, maybe me just listening, maybe my genuine empathy for what you're expressing in this moment of communication that we're having, maybe that is the thing that could possibly turn it around for you. I'm okay with that. I'm going through my own share of things in my life, and it's just like when I win. Before I say that, if I'm not anything else in my own personal life, I am honest, I am open, and I will say exactly how I feel. I do not name drop. I will tell about the experience and the situation, and I'll leave it at that because at the end of the day, that's all someone needs to be able to not feel alone. And this person's giving me some really good information to be able to move forward. If I'm not anything else, I'm a very empathetic person. Where I am at in my own life right now, just in dealing with my own experiences and the people that are currently in my life, like my empathy is literally two things. It is the one thing that keeps me from going all the way off, and it is the other thing is it keeps me from completely closing off. Right now, the bank is closed. I don't have talking to each and every one of you, and if you are getting something from this conversation, like giving is at my core, and so is empathy. I am always going to be me. I am always going to say what I feel, and if you get something from it, that's okay. What I am talking about right now is I used to be the type of person that I would overly invest, as I like to call it, in other people's mess. And with where I am right now, going on the inside and looking at like my own life, my own situation, stuff like that, like I'm good. I don't have problems per se with the way life is unfolded, like the situations that I'm actively, putting myself in and engaging with, where it is that I'm going within my own life's journey. Like the journey is good. The process is working. Right now, when I say like I ain't got it, I don't have it for other people. I know at some point I'll get back to being that person because that's who I've been called to be. That's who God has made me. And I'm appreciative of it. Like, thank you. But Lord, right now, it's my choice. Go forth. Whatever you done put on the inside of me. All right, cool. But as far as like my mindset of actively, no, I'm not there anymore. I'm not there right now because I have actively, like I said in the past year and a half, tried to do that, not only with people that I know and am in direct contact with, but new people as well. So it's just like nobody's answering. All right, cool. I ain't finna stay on the front porch. For what? Neighborhood watch ain't gonna come and do a citizen's arrest on me because yeah, I'm knocking at somebody's house, but they not answering. They walk up, it's like, no, but I know this person, or I've been put in a position to try to connect with this person. Like I don't know why they're not answering, but I know them. Well, ma'am, they're clearly not answering, and maybe this isn't the place where you should be. aha. Like that's been my revelation for the week because like I said earlier, communication is a two-way street. Before now, my communication highway has been open. It has been flowing. It ain't that diamond exchange over there off of, what is it, 91st and Memorial, the new one that people can't seem to wrap their heads around. But again, change is inevitable. But yeah, my communication highway has been flowing forward. But the stops that I've made along the way, there haven't been fruitful opportunities in those spaces. So it's just like you go so far and so far and you see that it's not producing any good fruit. You're not being able to effectively interact with the people that you once were before and the new people that you're trying to interact with. It's just like, hello, is anybody there? Oh, is it me you're looking for? I don't know. But I'm at a point to where if I can't find people who one are willing to communicate. Yeah, I don't know about that. And then if you're not even willing to at least like talk as a means to come in the door, because like I said, I don't think most people think like I do. I don't think that um I'll put it to you like this. They say that there are five love languages, right? Dr. Gary Chapman coined that terminology, that understanding. I have a six, and it's actually my number one. Like according to Dr. Chapman's list of love languages, my one on his list would be acts of service. But acts of service is not in the traditional sense that most people contribute it to. It's not taking out the trash. It's not um, changing my tire. It's not putting gas in my tank. It's not any of that. My act of service is how you show up for me. Now, in my own personal love language list, my number one is communication. If you can't give me communication, we can't do anything. We can't go anywhere. Like we can't be together. And that is in every dynamic. Like I talked to my therapist this week because we meet weekly once a week on Thursdays. And, I tell him the same thing. Dr. Pons, I ain't got it. He's like, well, what does that look like? Like, when it comes to your daughter, like you can't just cut her off like you would some other people. No, I can't, but she can get the basic. How's your day? Do you need anything? How are you feeling? That's it. Everything else is a luxury because I'm big on communication. I'm not going to ask you for something that I'm not also willing to give in return. And sometimes that could be a catch 22 in itself because the way that I am intentional about communicating, some other people can feel like, well, she's talking like a know it all, or she's talking down on me, or she's saying something that I don't really understand. Okay, well, tell me you don't understand it. That's growth. I'm not going to judge you for it. I'm gonna be empathetic in what it is that you're actually where you're coming from. But I need that awareness to know that there's a breakdown in our communication. My empathy will activate, and then from there, we'll be able to communicate more effectively. All I'm asking for. So the next one, the next step in this journey of effective communication, it kind of goes back to the ambiguity one that I was saying. Ambiguity is where like you give a little bit of the information, but you're not trying to give all the information. That actually is detrimental to most relationships. Because if I don't know, then it's up to me to either try to fill in the pieces or it's up to me to try to make it make sense, but it's not just on me. We're communicating. So nonverbal communication. In what you say from your mouth, there is an answer. If there's a question on the table, if you answer it with your mouth, okay, that's the answer. In what you don't say, there is also an answer. I had a conversation earlier about avoidant people. Just like, oh well, nah, if you ask that person that, like they probably ain't gonna answer you. Yes, they are, because I'm intentional every single way that I can. What you don't say is still an answer. And there are people in this world who are more savage than I am. If you don't answer what they need to know, if you don't provide the information that they need to know, they're going to then look at the other things that you are saying, your actions, what other people have to say. Like they're going to all of the possible ways that they communication from you, and nonverbal speaks in some situations it actually speaks louder than your verbal communication because 1 plus 1 has to equal 2 in order for the equation to make sense. When that math ain't math and it's just like yeah, no, they said this but I'm seeing this, the spirit of confusion. So I'm going to decide which one I want to go off of. And if I go off of one that is not in your favor, then guess what? I can choose to move around because I'm not getting the effective communication that it is that I'm asking for. And it's your responsibility to ask for effective communication, to be able to set that as a precedence in your relationships moving forward. To you, hey, depending on your situation, you may have to like really work at standing your ground, excuse me, and making it law, or you may just have to move around if you can. Whichever way works for you, work at it, look at those nonverbal communications skills. That part. The next one in our journey is one that I really struggle with. It's assertive communication. Like I be thinking different things and I be wanting to know certain things, but it's just like for some reason, like given the dynamic or given who it is, I may shy back a little bit from it. And I know for some of y'all that may be hard to believe, but no, your girl be like, I know it is, or dang, I should have said that, but I didn't. And I just roll with it. It's just like, no, like assertive communication, it takes balance because you don't want to get to the space where it's like I said earlier, when you're assertive, like people can feel like you're trying to tell them what to do. You're trying to tell them about themselves. You're trying to tell them how to be. No, that's not what I'm trying be assertive. I'm trying to be forthcoming with the information that it is that I either want to convey to you or the information that I want to receive from you. And for me, my empathy like balances all that out. Because when you're assertive, you got to be like, own it, right? You got to say what it is, despite if it's going to hurt that person's feelings, if it's going to blow up your spot, if it's going to make that person look at you any differently. But if you're empathetic and assertive at the same time, it's just like it puts you in, or like let me talk from my standpoint. It puts me in a place where it's just like I accept whatever does and doesn't happen. If I ask you something and I'm practicing my assertive communication skill, and then you are ambiguous with your information, you don't fully tell me what it is, I'm gonna pick up on that because I'm also empathetic and I'm interested in knowing you. If I ask you something and you choose to like not say anything, that nonverbal communication is going to be something that I'm gonna pick up on, and it's gonna put me in a place 9 times out of 10 where my assertiveness change. It's just like no, like I'm just saying what it is to say what it is. I'm done with this. I'm moving around. Now you have no say. Now you put me into the HBIC for myself, and I'm in certain situations, I've had to get to that point where it's just like, hey, like I came to you humble. I came to you, trying to like really see what's up. Just let you know, like I had a moment, and then like we still arguing. What are we arguing about? I thought we moved forward from this, or you're no longer choosing. communicate. I'm not gonna force you to communicate with me. Communication is a two-way street, and if that's how you choose to practice it, hey, okay, more power to you, but you're gonna be doing that by yourself. And when you decide to come back around and like try to move forward like nothing has ever happened, nah, fam, we good over here. We're in our assertive mindset. So yeah, you got to find a way to express your needs and desires without undermining anyone else's. Like a good way to use assertive communication is your I statements. So if someone does something, if someone says something that you don't, if someone says something that hurts your feelings, I feel like what you said has hurt my feelings because, and then say, that because is or in this way, and then you say, but you have to, no one, I like it because usually no one can tell someone else how they can feel. If I say I feel this way, you would look very crazy to say no, you don't feel that way, but I do. But if you direct it from the standpoint of you did this or you said that, or you wasn't this, then it's like you're placing blame on that other person. But if you tell that person how you feel and you work at that period, this communication workout period, then yeah, people will start to understand that you're in touch and you're trying to balance out what has happened and how it has made you feel as a means to be able to communicate with that. Next step in our journey is conflict resolution. Everything does not require an argument. Let me say that again. Everything does not require an argument. If you to where the things that you are saying, you're in a constant place of conflict. I've been there myself. Um, I'm not here to argue. I'm not here to fight. I'm not here to tear nobody down. That is not my intention. So if that is not my intention, then I'm actively going to make sure that I practice that. There are all different types of ways to where we can come to a place of conflict resolution. Be in the mindset of de escalating. Don't pacify someone just to be able to get them to calm down. Effectively communicate, and you can say, hey, right now, all of our tensions are running too high. Right now, we feel bigger than this conversation that we're trying to have. Maybe we need to take a moment, cool off, and continue with the conversation. Now, in me giving that as a tip or a tool to be able to work on de-escalating your conflicts in communication, I would challenge you as a life coach to take it a step further and do not remove yourself from that moment. So if y'all are like in where I am now, if you're in the living room, move to opposite ends of the couch, but stay in the living room together, because once you get up off that couch and you go into a whole different room, you're removing yourself from the energy of the other person. You're removing yourself from the love space of that other person. 9 times out of 10, that's what led to the conflict in the first place. Like sometimes there can be uh, passion and love and like just a genuine expression of how this situation or this conversation is making you feel. But if you feel like you can't be around that person, figure out a way to be around that person when you're in the midst of conflict, because when you divide, a division is truly created. And sometimes it's very difficult. I've had this happen to me. Sometimes it is very difficult to get past that divide, that the Grand Canyon. And next thing you know, like y'all are on opposite sides of the Grand Canyon. You're saying what you need to say, but you have this big chasm that's in front of you where your words are getting lost. The other person is on the other side. Nobody is effectively being able to communicate together. So find better ways for coming to a common ground of, if you can't communicate in that moment, hey, let's just stay in the same space. I'm the type of person, I like to push myself beyond my limits and my comfort zone, depending on who it is. Like, okay, if I don't like you, we need to hold hands. Like, we need to maintain some sort of connection. I'm not gonna go over, too much longer. I am almost done. But I really want to get this out because I feel like communication and effective communication is something that people really need. And if any of you watching end up, literally being around me, hey, I told you so. I'm giving you the blueprint that I live by as a means to be able to make my world a better place and, um, yeah, to run better and to be able to have good relationships of all kinds. So the next one is feedback. Feedback and constructive criticism. Now, for some people, I don't know if you sit next to that person. I don't know if you love them what it is that you're trying to say when it comes to this whole feedback and constructive criticism thing. You got to trust and you have to know the people that you can practice these two things with. Not everyone can take feedback, and not everyone for sure can take constructive criticism. Sometimes the breakdown comes in all of those moments before where you did not be completely honest, where you knew you wanted to say something, you knew you wanted to express what was going on within you, but you chose to bite your tongue. You chose to hold it in. You chose to be like, this is just this one moment. Like, this is not who this person is. I'm not gonna hold them accountable for that. Yeah. If you are in a situation with someone who cannot take feedback, who cannot take constructive criticism, I would say it's never too late to have a restart, but challenge yourself to figure out, like, is this a part of this person's upbringing? Like, were they always scolded as a child? Someone was always, meaning they were never uplifted, they were never told what they were doing right, they were never spoke life into. It was like the Bible says, you there's life and death in the power of the tongue. That person heard nothing but death over their life. They're not going to be someone who knows. Your feedback is meant to enhance the dynamic of the situation that we're engaging in with one another. They're not constructive criticism to say, hey, like, I am not telling you you're a bad person. I'm telling you that the choice that you made or the behavior that you chose to engage in was not what I feel is the best for myself or for us as partners. And when I say partners, I am not just speaking specifically on a romantic space. And I have to put that designation out there because in society, there are so many phrases and terms that have been coined to mean one thing, even though everybody has their own definition. If you're engaging with someone in effective communication, that is your communication partner. So, for the sake of this conversation, when you've heard me say partners, it is communication partners. If we are going to be doing this, we are in its outcome, we are partners in its input, we are partners in the responsibility that is needed for us to give feedback so that we can move forward in a better space together. That's what communication is. It's a form of feedback. Constructive criticism is not always bad, depending on how you deliver it. Like, I have um, a relationship in my life where it's just like we don't argue. There have been times where, like, we could argue. There have been times where it's just like I've gotten riled up and I have not, you practiced my best communication patterns or choices, but that person displayed empathy, was aware of the situation that was going on, how I they hold it against me. And we've still been able to effectively communicate beyond that one experience. So feedback and constructive criticism, like they're necessary. Check your tone, check your delivery, be empathetic of your person and where they're coming from as far as like what's happened in their lives, how they were raised, where it is that they're trying to go when it comes to communication. But feedback and constructive criticism, they're necessary, or we're not going to grow to be better people with communication. One more, mindful. No, that's a cuss word to some people. Mindful communication. Practicing mindful communication. Oh my God, this should have been at the top, but I get why, it's at the end. Um, Mindful to me correlates to just said be aware of your person. Be aware of your communication partner. What just happened to them 2 seconds ago? What were they just engaging in 2 seconds ago? If it's someone that you loved and it triggers something in them, hey, be intentional, be mindful about knowing their triggers. It's not your responsibility to not trigger them. You can't help all the time that they're triggered. Can be mindful of, hey, I didn't mean to set you off like that. That was not my intention. Can we talk about what is triggering you at this moment? And I say that because that's what I would like. That's how I would have liked some questions that were asked of me. What was it, 2 or 3 weeks ago now, when I was going through the height of what I was going through. Yeah, like mindful communication. I am a communicator through and through. So if I'm telling you like what's going on with me, if I'm telling you what I'm experiencing, if you're listening, add that into the question that you use to check up on me. Not, hey, what's going on? Really? Hey, what's upsetting you? Seriously? Hey, why you acting like that? You kidding, right? Like, you know what I'm saying? And these are legitimate questions that were asked to me in that period. But it's just like I'm like a duck. The water just rolls off my back right now. I don't like hold the mindlessness against those people who ask me those types of questions, but it's just like, hey man, like, yeah, like can you be a little bit more mindful of before you ask those types of things, and just like be intentional about knowing who I am. Ways to be mindful is to um practice incorporating, like I said, we working out. This is a communication workout plan. Incorporate mindfulness to remain present and focused during conversations. It's not enough to just be present. It's our communication, focus on my expressions, focus on my nonverbal communication cues because I'm doing the same for you. And then manage your emotional reactions and respond more thoughtfully. Um, yeah, I'm not reacting anymore. I've been pushed. Like Pac said, I ain't a killer, but don't push me. But once you push me, then it's on me 9.99 times how I respond. You will get that one little moment where it is a straight reaction. Certain things and only certain people can push me into the space where I react. But like I said, it's a buildup. It's never an instant thing. It is consistently produced, and yeah, it happened. I'm human. I'm not above it. But in coming to you guys and talking to you guys about these things, this serves as something that I myself can always go back and look on in those moments where I need a reminder as an individual, as a life coach, as a woman. as a mom, as a daughter, as a sister, as a niece, as an aunt, as a friend, as a lover, as a wife, like in any position that I am in at any moment in my life. I do need reminders from time to time how to practice my communication skills for healthy relationships of all kinds. Real reason why I wanted to come and share this conversation with you guys and just encourage you guys to practice these skills in your daily, not weekly, not monthly, not yearly, your daily interactions. You are always in a space to where you are communicating or you have the possibility to communicate with someone. Some people need to practice on their communication with themselves. Hey, I'm gonna put my hand up. I'm guilty. I'm one of those people too, but that's what I'm actively practicing in. When you practice these things, there are benefits that will come in your improving your communication, both personal and professional. The more you choose to build your communication muscle. Yeah, I'm gonna sit in this space for just a little bit because there's some things that I just need to, make sure I'm within the right mindset of. If you need or want any help, guidance, um, listening, anything surrounding what I've discussed in, this moment of practicing our relationships of all kinds and kind of taking you through the journey of, some of the things you can put in your workout plan to work on. Um, Even if you need a month to just actively, hey, this month I'm gonna focus on my empathy and communication. This month I'm gonna look at the opportunities to give and receive feedback and criticism. I'm here, like my desire is to have more people that choose to engage with me because of the way I walk in my own life. Look at the way that I walk. Um, sorry, church is going on in my head right now. But like I'm not one of those types of people. I'll ask or expect things of other people that I don't first ask and expect of myself. So if you would like to connect more on a personal level or even in a group setting, like, I'm down to meet up, go have some wine or just whatever. I don't know if we have Top Golf, painting with a twist. Like I'm open and I'm looking for it, and it is my desire to engage in those things. So I'm gonna let you guys go, and I'm gonna let you have a good evening. As always, I hope you guys look forward to a good life filled with real love. So until next Sunday, oh, I'm sorry. Before I go, I have to make this announcement. Next Saturday, July the 27th, 11 to 12 for just 1 hour, 60 minutes. If y'all can come meet me and my daughter for 60 minutes, we will be forever grateful. But I am hosting the July edition of the Legacy Accelerator Young Entrepreneur Engagement Series talks. And what that talk series is I invite entrepreneurs to come out to talk to kids and their parents about their journeys when it comes to entrepreneurship, the good, the bad, the ugly, and the in between. Same as on here is the same thing that same way I asked them to talk. But I am super excited about next Saturday's talk because the speaker is none other than my beautiful daughter, Layla. She is coming into her own and she is excited to connect with you guys and let you know more about her journey with her business, Layla Pops is pies and sweet treats that she offers, and she will have some available there as well. So we look forward to seeing you guys. It is next Saturday, July 27th, 11 to 12, Rudisill Regional Library, 1520, sorry, North Hartford Avenue. We look forward to seeing you all. You can find the event link, and then just, yeah, say you're coming, and we look forward to it. So until next Sunday, on our next Sunday sit down with yours truly, Nicole LaTreece, you guys have a good and week ahead.